Cute kid, huh? I put my family through the loop trying to find this picture. And it was a great family experience because we got to go through some old family photos. But the reason I showed this picture, because this kid had a dream. Everybody knew it and was never discouraged, because eventually she was going to find out she was never going to become a Chinese nun. In 2011, I did something I never even dreamed of. When I was in Mexico, I went ziplining, rappelling down the waterfall, and even scarier, riding the mule who insisted on being on the cliff. Yeah, it was pretty scary. Then in 2013, I had a dream come true. My husband and I consider ourselves casual athletes. I was training for the half marathon. And then he started taking up some running, and he was running as well. And his mileage went up. So for Father's Day, I surprised him with a paid entry to the Atlantic City Half Marathon. A little surprised. But anyway, the training we did and finishing that day was one of the happiest days of my life. So why do I go here? Dreams. Dreams. Some people dream of being athletic. Some people just dream of being an athlete. But you know what? I love Gray Institute's definition of an athlete. It is someone who's fit and vital. But there's a population out there that I call the unseen athlete. Let me share a story. I belong to a business networking group, and we do these things of coffee clutch meetings, and in that meeting, we discover what our businesses are about, talk about our families. And in the conversation, we landed up talking about her son. And she says, "My son's not an athlete." I was like, okay. And I said, "How so?" She goes, "Well, he tried soccer, and it didn't work for him. He tried Little League, and it didn't work for him. So my son is not an athlete." Her face was so sad. It really broke my heart. I go, "So what does he do?" She goes, "Well, he plays the piano, and he builds the stage set designs for a high school drama club." I go, "Oh, so he's an athlete of the arts." She seemed really confused by that. I go, "So what is an," I go, "Let's talk about what's the athlete." "Well, it's someone who's trained and skilled in exercises, sports, and games that has strength, agility, and endurance." I go, "So playing the piano, that's a whole body activity. You see those pianists, they're heart and soul. And you know what? If you really look at it, if you got someone who's building stage designs, if you really use your imagination, you would see that, put a playground underneath that, right? You have to be agile so you don't hurt your foot. That takes a lot of stamina. So am I using the definition of exercise a little bit and taking some liberty with it? Maybe. But the mental demand, the commitment, and dedication that is found in an athlete of the arts is the same you would find on a playing field. So I want you to take a think for a moment. Who do you know in your life that might be the unseen athlete? Maybe mother, father, sibling, the kid down the street? Who is the athlete that's not seen? I did a corporate training program at this large pharmaceutical company, and its program was designed to help employees become happy and healthier in high-stress environments. And in this, to expand their capabilities in the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual capacities of their life. They spent most of their time on the physical component. In this physical component, to make sure that as long as the employees get enough sleep, they eat well, and they exercise, they'll be able to better perform in the other capacities of their work. And they'll be able to expand how well they do their work. So, but it was the physical component. Bessel van der Kolk in The Body Keeps Score, he talks about how the needs of an infant are the fundamental needs of an adult. The baby needs to be fed. The baby needs to eat, needs to sleep. The baby needs to play. The baby needs to eliminate. And the baby needs to be kept dry. So when is it in our life as adults that we start to believe we need to start sacrificing the fundamental needs of our life? Clayton Christensen, in his book, How Will You Measure Your Life, one of the things he talks about is sacrifice and commitment. And in that, he says, if you're going to make a commitment, is the sacrifice you make worthy of that commitment? Think about that. We might sacrifice being in the car and making dinner because we have to get our kids to whatever event, take care of our elders, build Halloween costumes for the kids. Yes, I did make those. Yeah. You might sacrifice sleep because you have to take care of a loved one that might be suffering from cancer. You might sacrifice some family time at the dinner table because you're trying to succeed at your job or just make ends meet. But what are you really surrendering? What are you really sacrificing in all of this? You're sacrificing your dreams. I did a workshop earlier this year that was called Creating a Work-In versus a Workout. And these group of professionals came in, and they expected someone for the fitness industry to say, oh yeah, you're going to stand up, you're going to do push-ups at the desk, and do squats and lunges down the hallway. Well, I ran them through a very different experience. I presented to them, if you had no obstacles in your way, no time obstacles, no money obstacles, no health obstacles, what do you dream of doing? And the part that was so cool about this, I got the expected silence that I anticipated, because this is a question that has been left behind with the kid in them. Because we've been sacrificing, working for our families, and doing this and doing that. They really had to dig back. And I had this woman, she was a real estate agent, and she goes, I always wanted to be a hot air balloon pilot. I was like, really? Cool. I go, what does that entail? And she goes, well, you got to get the balloon out of the car, put it on the ground, lay it out smooth. I went, no. I go, hang on a second. I said, show me. So she goes, okay, you got to get the balloon out of the car, you got to lay it out, unfurl it, and put it in, get the sandbags, get the basket, lay it up, open the balloon. You got to use cold air first, don't want to melt the balloon with hot air, right? Her face just lit up. Her body just began to sing and play. I had someone else in there who said, I want to hike all the national parks of the United States. And her dream was easy to fulfill because she owned a junk removal company, so she had a warehouse full of boulders. And I had another one. She always wanted to be a sailor, and she used to be at sea, and she wanted to be at sea for 10 days. And she goes, I got to be able to duck so I don't hit my head and get into tight little corners, and everything has to be packed so tightly. So the next thing I know, I got all these people moving around in my studio playing their dream. So I asked them, so what's your exercise program? And they realized that they answered it themselves. So we go, you know what? This is really not that hard. That was the other part, discovery of thing. It was to practice your dream in everything you do. I go, imagine now when you are taking the groceries out of the car, it's your balloon. Imagine when you got to duck under something, you're on the boat. Everything you do, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. And the cool thing is now, since, as we know, as performers in sports and music, that just imagining the activity, your body is already training. So now they are now open to the opportunity, if it ever arrives. They've already trained to be better on the boat, to be ready for the hike. And better yet, when she gets called to go do some hot air ballooning and be part of the crew, she's going to be ready because she's been training every day at 5-minute pockets all day long. But not everybody is so fortunate. Not everybody gets to do this because they have some complications in their life. They might be battling some, physical inability or some disease. I have a client, I'll call her Kelly. She was diagnosed with Lyme disease several years ago, and it's Alcatraz. And she found me on the internet. I don't know how. And she said that I can't even do anything. She was living her dream. She's a search and rescue dog trainer. How cool is that? And also a figure ice skater and a big-time hiker. So she couldn't even get out of bed. It was really, really devastating at the fact that we would try doing a different exercise and then it would knock her out for 2-3 days. It was really disheartening. It really challenged my thought as a trainer. So we finally came up with a strategy and we realized, how can we work her so the spirochetes stay at bay? We came up with saying, let's try small sessions. And actually, when I thought about it, I had one of those aha moments. I said, when she does high-intensity training, it knocks her out. I said, let's see if we can keep her and train her, like start her as a marathon runner, and let's do some heart-based training. So we kept her at a very low level, small sessions. Well, she is back on the ice. She's not jumping yet, but we got some endurance on that. She just recently sent me a text message and put a testimonial for me that made me cry yesterday. But the biggest thing was, she just recently came back from Colorado and then at 10,000 feet elevations and multiple hikes over 2 days. Her husband says to her, I got my wife back. So she's getting her dream back and gets to practice it every day. Sometimes I'm the dog. You should see that. It's pretty funny. But I want you to think about this. What is the athlete in you? What is to find your dream? As health and wellness professionals, it's our responsibility to help our patients and clients identify the athlete in them, help them hold on to their dream. That's a huge responsibility. It's a huge responsibility, but it's the one that we signed up for, isn't it? So, practice your dream in everything you do. One of my favorite quotes is from Thomas More in The Care of the Soul. That's my kids when they were small. They're men now. But it puts everything about how I approach training and approach the work that I do. And he says, exercise could be more soulfully performed by emphasizing fantasy and imagination. How fun is that?